And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at My City, Manifest Your Destiny from Reiner Knizia from Thames and Cosmos. This game is currently, at the time of me talking and recording this, nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. It is the one I think will win, but who knows? But even still, being nominated is indeed a big honor. And this is a flip and build game, but it's also a legacy game. So what does that mean? If you've never played a legacy game before, My City starts out, and it's a 2 to 4 player game in which you're going to have a board in front of you, and that board, this game takes about 10, 20, 30 minutes to play at a time. When you're done playing, you will permanently alter that board with stickers and writing and things before you go on to the next game. You're going to do this for 24 games straight. When you're done, there is an overall winner. Now, there is a way to play even after you've done that. The game includes that, but that's kind of how this works. How does the actual game play within those 24 games? Let me show you. I played the game as a 3-player game, so this is the 4th player board, which is unspoiled. There's actually 2 sides of the board. This is the permanent city that you can play. I believe the game calls it the Eternal game. So the game, the regular game, the whole legacy side is going to be played on this one, and you're going to be going through 8 chapters. Each chapter is 3 games, 1 through 3, so you start with the new land and go all the way up to prosperity. When you open one up, and don't worry, this doesn't spoil much, it will tell you about episodes 1 to 3. Inside will come that rule sheet. Will come a little card here that tells you how scoring works for each of the 3 games, and then possible stickers that you will be taking and putting on the board as you play. What you'll be doing as the game goes by, if you win a game, you'll get a certain number of check marks here, and whoever gets the most of these will win the whole campaign. But winners will often get a bonus sticker and sometimes a negative sticker, and the losers will get a bonus sticker to help them kind of catch up. So you have this cube here to mark your points off an ordinary game, and at the beginning everyone starts with these buildings. So I'm going to tell you the base game here, and then we'll talk about kind of a little bit about how it changes, but I don't want to spoil too much. There's a deck of cards here, and each of these cards matches one of these buildings here. So basically the game is you draw a card, you find that building, everyone puts that building on the board. The first one in game 1 has to go next to the river. After that, we draw, each building must go next to one of your other buildings. Now you can't cross a river, so I can't do that. You can go across the river like this, but you can't have a single building cross the river. So you can see I left the space open here. That space is probably never going to get filled. Now at the beginning of the game, I'm trying to not cross off trees, but I do want to cross off these rocks. So maybe I'll do this. That crosses off those rocks. And I'm just going to keep going and putting out these buildings one at a time. And everybody's doing the same thing. Now, I like that I drew that one. I can slide that one in right in there. Now, once all the buildings are out, you may come to the point where you can't play a card. I may turn over a building, and I wouldn't do this here, but I might turn over a building. Let's say I put that one there. Let's say I turned over a building, the board's filled up, and I don't have a spot for it, or I don't want to put it out. I could turn that building over and say, nope, I'm passing, and lose a point. And then draw. Okay, now I'm going to get that one, and I'll put that one there. Whatever, it's up to you. Now, you also might decide, hey, I can't put any more buildings out, or I don't want to put any more buildings out. So if a card's drawn and it says put out that building, I'm like, nope, I don't want to put that one out. And I'm done. I turn it over. I don't lose a point, but I can't put out any more buildings. Now, again, I'm not showing you a complete game here. There's lots of open spots for all these buildings, but this will happen. You can't build on top of this mountain. You can't build on top of this forest. So at the end of the game, you'll take your points that you've scored. You will lose a point for every open spot you haven't covered. Every of these rocks is a point, so these are 2 spaces if you don't have them covered. And then every tree that you've covered, you will get 2 points. Now you might say, hey, that seems a little you're going to end up with negative points for sure because you're losing more points than you're gaining. Yes, but in game 2, they instantly add the rule where your buildings that are the same color next to each other in the largest group would score a point. So right now you can see I'm getting 3 points for red, 1 for yellow, and 1 for blue. But I would assume as time goes by that I would attach more of the different colors. Now I got 3 for yellow, 3 for red, still 1 for blue, 2 for blue. And then the third one, you're going to have a well on the board, and you're going to score points for having 4 different buildings next to the well. And that's how the first 3 games are. Each envelope's going to be the same way. It's going to add some new feature to the game, and then the 3 games in that envelope are kind of variations on how that works. In between games, you wipe the board, you start again. And like I said, stickers will be placed on the board. So if I'm in last place, I might get one of these tree stickers, which give you extra points. A well sticker will be added to the board before game 3 that players will be trying to build around. And there are a ton more stickers in the game. You'll notice all these spots here, those are going to have stickers put on them. You can write your name here, and you're actually physically crossing things out. So this box comes with 24 games, and then if you finish all those, you can still play this Eternal game. And this uses rules from games 1 to 5 of the Legacy game, so that gives you enough information on what to do next. Not a lot to go over here with the components. I mean, there's stickers, there's envelopes, and there's tiles. There are more tiles and envelopes and stickers and cards in the envelopes, but not a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stickers, but not a lot of other stuff. There's no like super secret surprise things. Well, maybe something, but I can't really spoil that. The rules are really well written, and I do like that there's an extra sheet of rules for each one. I might complain about these a bit. I almost wish, this seems like a small thing, I wish they had drawn a line between episodes 1, 2, and 3 on here, because you add these scoring things to each one, and sometimes we're on episode 1 and we might do this scoring because we didn't realize it's not part of this. Not a huge thing, but I don't know, you're only using them for a couple games. That's it. Other than that, everything looks fine. The background's pretty. It's not like amazing looking, the game, but it's functional for what it is. Now, I might argue that this is a very low-level Legacy game. It's an easy game for people to get into. If you've never played a Legacy game before, this is certainly a good one to get your feet wet with. The Legacy aspects of it, well, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about the game itself. This game is very, gives me that feeling of a roll and write game. A roll and write game where you roll dice and write stuff down like Yahtzee, but there's a ton of these games out there. Many of them involve drawing shapes. That's kind of what this is, except it's a flip and write. Instead of rolling, you flip a card. Everyone puts out the same thing. Now you say, couldn't I just copy Joe or Susan? Well, you could, but at the same time, after game 1, everyone has different stuff on their boards, different stickers and things, and it's going to change it up. And as the game goes by, even more so. That base concept works well. You're putting stuff there. When I play, I'll take my buildings and I'll be like, oh, this building fits perfectly there. So I put it over there. If that one's drawn, it's going to go in that spot. And then this one's going to go in a spot right underneath it if that one's drawn. Except for that one I put underneath it that's going to go in that spot was drawn first. There's not a lot of analysis paralysis. Like I said, games can be pretty snappy. It says 30 minutes per game, but I would argue that most games will take closer to 20, at least in the beginning, although they will get longer as time goes by. Just because there's more rules and things like that. So I like the base game of this. It's fine. Well, we'll come back to the Eternal game in a second. But let's talk about the Legacy game. So they change rules. Now, they're changing rules about 8 times. There's those 8 envelopes. Yes, there's minor variations, but those 3 games in a row are really similar to each other. They change things somewhat dramatically. They might change where your start thing is. They might add more buildings. With cards, buildings, other things that you might find in a city. I'm trying to be a bit oblique here so you don't know. But I will say this. Many of the things they added, I thought, oh yeah, sure. It's not like I never once in this game opened an envelope and was like, oh my goodness. No, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, they added this. Oh, they did this, and this scores points this way now. Oh, there's stickers, and you can now build in this area. Okay. I mean, it was neat. Also, they have names on the envelopes. So, envelope 7's called The Railroad. So that's fine. I don't mind these variations. I will say, as it went on, as if you like try to plow through this like game, you'll go, yeah, okay, these is interesting variations. I don't know that they're strong enough to keep me playing it over and over and over and over and over again. In other words, not sure this needed to be a legacy game. It could have just been a nice game with several modules that you play. And at the end of the day, it could be that way, except you can't necessarily go back in time and play some of them because you've covered stuff up with stickers. That being said, at the end of it, you have your nice little stickered up city that's yours and uniquely yours, but then you're done after 24 games. And you can go play the Eternal game, which almost feels like a reversal because it goes back and only handles stuff from games 1 to 5-ish. There's also something from game 7 in there too. But anyhow, I like it. It's solid. It's good. It's for families. People are going to be able to easily get into it. I don't know that I'm completely sold on the legacy part of it, but that also works. I know some people watching this go, I'm not going to buy a legacy game. Listen, seriously, there's like 30 games in here. Technically forever, because you can play the Eternal City forever. That's pretty good. That is a ton of playing thing in here. Most people don't play the same game 24 times in a row. Other people might ask and say, hey, can you play it with different people each time? Not particularly. I mean, you could, but you'd have to bring them up to date on why their city is in the state it is. And yes, you could say, okay, now here's all the rules. But this game is definitely like, here's one little rule, here's one little rule, here's one little rule, here's one little rule, here's a bigger rule, here's a little rule. So that if you've been playing a lot, you're like, yeah, I got all this. But someone new coming in halfway through might be overwhelmed on that. And definitely you saw I have that fourth board that we didn't use in our game. I couldn't start that person in halfway. I have to go back and what stickers do you have or don't have? So you're kind of locked in. If you pick some people to play this with, you could. It seems it worked well with 3 players. Seems like it would work well with 2 because at the end of the day, the only thing you're doing is competing to see who gets a better score. It is a solitaire experience for the most part. You draw cards and put stuff in these spots. That being said, why is there not a solo game in here? It feels like you could have played through this solo. Yeah, there's the comparing your scores to other people and getting stickers or not getting stickers, but it just seems like they could have done that easily. I guess someone will have a mod up on the internet at some point. Anyhow, still a lot of fun. If you like roll and write games or flip and write games, I think you'll enjoy this. If the legacy idea intrigues you, you'll have a lot of fun with it. It's interesting and it does some cool things. And if you like, pentominoes at all, like I do, and placing them on the board, you're in. So that's My City by Reiner Knizia. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see y'all next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved.